Well, last year, some of you were with us when we gathered at the press room, at the press club across town to hand out the 2023 WHAM research grants. And at that luncheon, we all bemoaned the state of women's health research. Today, and I know you join me in this, I marvel at the difference that 1 year can make. After our lunch last year, my brother Mark, and now he is here, I don't know where he is. Mark, if you're here, I think he's in the back trying to harass Dr. Biden. Oh, there he is. Mark, I want Mark to stand up and take a bow a second, because it was Mark, please. There's so few men in this room. But at the lunch last year, after hearing all the researchers, after listening to the panel, Mark said to me I should get my butt, that wasn't the word he used, but get my butt down to the White House and tell the story about the state of women's health and research to the President and the First Lady. I said, Mark, I'm happy to, but I doubt anyone will see me on such short notice. It's impossible, and I doubt anything will come of the meeting. And I'm not usually pessimistic, but I was a realist. I couldn't have been more wrong. Astonishingly, Mark got me a meeting with Dr. Biden and her chief of staff, Anthony Bernal, on a Saturday afternoon at that. And together we ran over to have tea with Dr. Biden and Anthony. The rest, shall we say, is history. It turned out to be one of the most memorable, inspiring, productive, and exciting meetings I've ever had. And trust me, I've had plenty of meetings. After we told Dr. Biden and Anthony about the lack of investment into research into women's health and the opportunity for this president and this first lady to make history, we left our meeting with a slight spring in our step and with some high hopes. But I will admit that we never thought that that meeting would result in the President of the United States and the First Lady launching the first ever initiative, presidential initiative on women's health and research. We never thought that the president would call on Congress for a $12 billion investment into women's health in his State of the Union address. And I was hoping maybe for $1 or $2 billion. And when they said 12, I'm like, I'll take it. That's good. That's very good. And we certainly never anticipated that the president would sign an executive order putting agencies throughout the government on notice from now on that they are to prioritize women's health and research. All of that happened in just the last year. Can you imagine where we're going to be this time next year? My friends, we are in a new time, in a new era, one that so many of you in this room have worked so hard to bring about. In addition to this new initiative, the discussion around women's health is already impacting women all over the country in how they're receiving treatment. Women are learning about new ways to speak up, and doctors are listening with more open ears. This is huge progress. As I've said, there's so many pioneers in this room who have worked tirelessly to bring these changes about. But ultimately, it was Dr. Biden who took this initiative up the flagpole into the Oval Office and beyond. Without her commitment to women's health, we would not be celebrating this presidential initiative. Without the leadership of Jen Klein, the director of the President's Gender Policy Council, and without the expertise of the initiative's director, Dr. Carolyn Missouri, we would still be moaning, not marveling, about the inroads that everyone has made. Dr. Missouri is also here today, and I want to acknowledge where is she? There she is. An incredible pioneer in this space, and I want to acknowledge the passion and determination she brings from Yale to Washington to help change how government is addressing women's health needs. Thank you so much, Dr. Missouri. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Biden. She's here with us today because she believes in the value of women's health research. She believes in the research that so many of you have been doing and are doing. She believes that science will change the way women's health care for all women is delivered. And she's certainly right about that because it is already happening. As you heard from Dr. Ridgway, we just opened on Wednesday the first comprehensive women's healthcare and research center at the Cleveland Clinic. And this center, as Dr. Ridgway said, will focus especially on women at midlife and beyond, and on Alzheimer's prevention. But it will radically transform how women receive care holistically. And I hope it will serve as a model for other hospitals and clinics and medical centers around this country and hopefully around the world. The message from women is growing and it's strong. We want and need better health care, and we will not get it without investing in research. I've traveled the country with Dr. Biden this last year, and the reception we have gotten on all sides has been incredibly inspiring and incredibly impactful. It gives me so much hope for the future, but it also gives me so much hope for the present, for this moment. So it's my great honor to introduce to you our First Lady, who is changing the way women's health and research is being done, not just at the federal level, but in so many institutions and by doctors and scientists around the country. Please give her the standing ovation that she deserves and let her know how grateful all of us are to her. Dr. Jill Biden.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Please. Please. So, Maria, you give me hope, too. It's what you do, right? In Alzheimer's, you've given others hope during some of their darkest times, even as you were going through yours, shining your light so others can find their way forward. And you're giving so many women hope. Just look at this incredible center at the Cleveland Clinic and all the women and families whose lives will be changed because of you. In this moment, I can't help but think of your mother, who changed so many lives of her own. You carry forward her legacy, fighting for the health of our nation and the planet, always looking for the best way to make the biggest difference for the most people. And with each mark you make on the world, you gift us with a little of her light and her love too. I know all of us are so thankful, and I know that she would be so proud. Her tenacity is part of you, because when you set your mind to something, you don't back down. You all know that, right? And I've seen it myself, and that's why I'm here today. Yes, it all started with that meeting that Maria talked about. I had met you as Second Lady when you were First Lady of California. But we really had never sat down and never really talked about what was on our hearts. You laid out a problem that was so simple, but so often ignored, that women's health is understudied and research is underfunded. And too many of our medications, our treatments, and medical school textbooks are based on men. This has created gaps of conditions of our understanding of conditions that mostly affect women, only affect women, or affect women and men differently, leaving women seeking health care in a medical world largely designed for men. It was one of those moments that happened in life where you learn something and you can never see the world in the same way again. Suddenly, the problem almost felt obvious because we all know it. If you ask any woman in America about her health care, she probably has a story to tell. You know her. She's the woman who gets debilitating migraines but doesn't know why, and she can't find treatment options that work for her. She's the woman going through menopause who visits her doctor and leaves with more questions than answers, even though half of this country will go through menopause at some point in their lives. She's the woman whose heart attack isn't recognized because her symptoms don't look like a man's, even as heart disease is the leading cause of death among women. As I've traveled to research centers and conferences and universities, I've shared this with the people I meet. And I see the nods each time as women and men have the same realization I had with Maria. But it's not enough to just talk about it. President Biden knew that we had to get to work to change this. And that's why Joe has pushed forward all those pieces that may not have seemed possible before. The first White House initiative on women's health research, requesting $12 billion from Congress. I'm sure many of you heard it in his State of the Union. I mean, we were there, we heard it. We were excited, and signing an executive order to make sure that when the government funds research, that work includes women from the beginning, and ensuring that when we make discoveries, those ideas get to the women and families waiting for answers. And as part of the initiative, ARPA-H, the agency that Joe created to pursue breakthrough health research at lightning speed, he launched a sprint for women's health. That means that this year, the agency will invest millions to push forward innovations that could be life-changing for women. All of you have been part of the work like this on Alzheimer's and other diseases. You've poured in resources. You've pushed science forward. You've changed how we talk about this disease. You've seen the power of conversations like the one Maria and I had, how they ripple outwards, reshaping our world. All of you can create those ripples too, can take what you've learned here and share it, can find ways to shift the world. Because if this is the difference that 1 year can make, imagine, as Maria said, where we're going to be this time next year, or the year after, or in 10 years. There is so much more for us to discover, lives that could be transformed or even saved, families that could find the answers that they need, patients who no longer have to struggle with pain or confusion, who could get a second chance at life. Not only women, but men too, because these discoveries could give us insight into all of us. That's the power of research, to investigate and innovate, to help and heal, to build a better healthcare system, one that places women and their experiences at its center. Thank you for being part of this work. Together, we will write new stories about women's healthcare, one where women leave doctors' offices with more answers than questions, where no woman or girl has to hear again, it's all in your head or it's just stress, where women don't just survive, they lead long, healthy, and happy lives. Thank you for all you do. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. Have a good conference. Thank you so much. Woo!